Hello, today we're going to be distributing fractions and decimals. So it says distribute the following fractions in order to release the parentheses, and this is what allows us to simplify the expression. It asks that you show your work, so that's really important, how you arrived at the answer, and use your calculator to help. I'm going to strongly suggest you use your scientific calculator, the one with the ABC key. So that brings us to the reminder of how to enter a fraction. For instance, in a minute we're going to enter 3/4. And so on the calculator, you're going to enter 3, then the ABC key, and then 4. And it's going to look like this on the calculator screen. All right. When we find an answer too, the answer is written as with the diagonal fraction sign instead of the horizontal fraction sign. So let's go ahead and start now with our first problem. Remember, we're asked to show our work, show how we're finding it. So I'm going to take 3/4 times the first term inside the parentheses, which is 8a. This is going to become one term in a minute, okay? Now, if you recall, whatever's outside the parentheses multiplies everything inside the parentheses. So this isn't 3/4 minus 4. It is 3/4 times -4. We're going to look at our minus signs like they're negative. So this is going to become another term. So on your calculator, you're going to enter 3ABC4 times 8. And we just ignore the A for a minute. And if you need to pause at any time, please do that. So the answer is 6. It should be 6 on your calculator. And then we have to remember to bring down the variable. So 6a. Now you're going to clear your calculator and take 3ABC4 times -4. And it's very important that you enter the little negative key down at the bottom. It's a white key down at the bottom of the calculator in parentheses. If you put the minus sign in there, the calculator will give you syntax error. It doesn't like that. So if you need to pause and figure it out, that's great. All right, and you should have gotten -3. So I'm going to use that negative sign as a minus 3. And you can, if you want, you can write it like this. That's acceptable. But what is not acceptable, and what I've seen a couple times, is I've seen a couple people keep the -3, but then also write a minus. That's not the same thing. So 6a minus 3 is different than 6a minus -3. However, 6a minus 3 is the same thing as 6a plus -3. We just prefer to use one operation sign. Okay? So now let's go on to a more difficult one. This next one is a little bit more challenging. So let's see what we can do. We're going to start out the very same way we did last time. We're going to take -2/3 times 4a. So -2/3 times 4a. That's going to become one term in a minute. Then we go back to -2/3 times -9. That minus is going to serve as a negative. And that's going to become our second term. So we're going to have a term here. We're going to have a term here. So take a moment and enter -2 ABC3 times 4. So unfortunately, this is what, I say unfortunately because it makes it a little bit more challenging. Your calculator probably said something like this. And that might be confusing to us. In fact, it should be negative. That's on me. What this means is this U right here is talking about whole units. It's saying that this is a whole number or a whole unit. So since the calculator can't show us another way to say a mixed number, it puts that U to say that's the big number of our mixed number, and then the second part after the U is a fraction. So this should be -2 2/3 and then a. Would you please pause the video and take negative 2/3 times negative 9? This is much kinder and gentler. And if you noticed, it said 6 and it was positive. So let's recall our little faces that help us when we multiply and divide. I have a negative 2/3. I have a negative 9, which means it's positive. When we add and subtract, it might help us to think about our colors, our color coding, red and yellow. Yellow for positive and red for negative. But when we multiply and divide, when we're multiplying and dividing, we want to think about these faces. Since it's positive, I'm going to write plus sign. I'm going to use my positive sign as the plus sign. So this is the answer to the second example. So what I'd like you to do is to try the next ones on your own. However, I do see something on the create your own problem or complete your own problems that I do want to address. All right, since we haven't, this seems to be sometimes problematic. This time I see 1/4, and you're going to notice there's not a coefficient or a number in front of the variable. So we can write it this way. However, if you don't like not having a number, it's confusing not to have a number, you can just put a coefficient of 1. And so what's going to happen when we do this is 1/4 times 1, or 1/4 times x, is just going to be 1/4 x. In fact, this is going to happen whether this number is a fraction, decimal, or whatever number it is. If the variable does not show a coefficient, one way to handle is to put a 1, or the other way is to just realize there's nothing else we can do but show these two numbers being multiplied like this. That's as good as the answer is going to get. Okay? Whoops, ended up erasing too much of it. So if you would like then, since we're started, I'm going to go ahead and complete this, or at least get you started. This is the work we need to see 1/4 times 12. And if you recall, each of them are going to become a term. We already have our first term. And I would like you now to finish the rest of this problem and try B and C on your own. Thank you.